and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. It has been a hot minute since I have published a tutorial, but for those of you who don't know, I am Brooke Tannehill, and today I will show you how I made this coffee mug with a bleach spot. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. If you like this video and want to see future crafting tutorials, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can be notified of all new content. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this design, I used a 14-ounce camper mug, but I can't find these anywhere anymore. The company I got it for went out of business, but you can find 12-ounce camper mugs from Craft Haven, Stainless Depot, Mother Tumbler, you name it. So what I did is I just measured underneath the handle, got that measurement, and marked different tick lines along the vinyl. So I make multiples so that way I can line the blade up as straight as possible. Used my little cutter to cut the straight line, and then I'm gonna trim off the edges. So once I get this all trimmed and ready to go, we are going to apply it to our tumbler. So I have my ultimate decal guide here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to use that vertical guide that you see right there to line it up with the edge of the handle and just mark it with a Sharpie, and I will use this as a guide to apply my vinyl. So I just make a little line right there, and you can see that I have my guide now for my vinyl strip. Now this part I know can be daunting for a lot of people, so I'm going to show you how I have found it's really the easiest way to apply vinyl striping like this. So I just pull back a little bit of that paper and expose that stickiness of the vinyl. So I put it in the cup cradle. That's also a very important step. And then I'm going to use the line that we marked with the Ultimate Decal Guide and really line up that edge of the vinyl like you see right there. Also making sure that the other side is lining up as well. So you're gonna make sure that, hey, everything's going on straight. Then you're gonna really rub that section that has the sticky part, tent your vinyl right there. So you can see I'm just putting it to where the paper is pulling away from the vinyl. And then I use just a felt tip squeegee and push it down. And so this really prevents any kind of bubbles from showing from your vinyl kind of being wonky. And then I just use an X-Acto knife. I didn't get this perfectly lined up the way I wanted it to, so it was a little bit lower than I had planned, but it's whatever. But it went on straight. But you just want to use your X-Acto knife, cut off any excess, and just pull it away, and then we're ready to move into the next step. Now that the vinyl's applied, we're gonna go ahead and tape off the top and bottom of the vinyl. And what I like to do is I like to cheat up just a little bit. And what I mean is you'll be able to see it here. You can see some of the vinyl is peeking through the tape. And the reason why I do it, it's like just a little bit up, is that way I don't get any seams or spaces where there's just stainless steel showing when I go in to like paint or apply my glitter. So I like to just kind of compensate a little bit and let the vinyl get painted and glittered just so everything's kind of seamless. And one of the other reasons why I did this as well is I did not cut this vinyl straight. So it was definitely wider on top than it was on the bottom, if that makes sense. Like it was wider in sections. It was just all over the place. So I just do this to get a straight line at the top and at the bottom. And so this just helps me to kind of move forward with the rest of the design. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the bottom part of the vinyl using just painter's tape. This is cheapo painter's tape. I buy it from Amazon actually, because I've tried to look at Walmart and other places and they just have the best price. So it works. I'll link it down in the description if you do want a good painter's tape, but I just like to make my way slowly around the cup, and then I like to fold it on itself so that way when I'm ready to pull off the tape, like you see there, there's a little tab that I can easily kind of grab and pull so that it just comes off really quickly. Now we're getting into the fun stuff. So I'm using Miss Lillian's No Wax Chalk paint. This is a beautiful light yellow, and you can see the coverage that I get with this. But I went ahead and did 2 coats, just using my heat gun to dry in between. And you can pick up this paint on the CamiPaige Boutique website. I'll link it down in the description below. But I just love this stuff. I get great coverage. It dries super fast, and it just really, really works well with stainless steel. Then once those 2 coats are dry, I'm going to use Artistry's glitter glue. I really like this stuff when I'm live, which this whole video is are the beginning parts of this cup I did live. But I just come in and do a nice even coat over the entire tumbler. starting with the sides and then the bottom, I do end up missing a part or a section of the cup, and I just touch it up afterwards. But we are going to be using honeysuckle. I love this yellow because you can see just how vibrant it is, and it really went well with the colors on the vinyl. So definitely snag some if you're looking for an amazing yellow. And again, I will link it down in the description. And I'm just coming in, and I only needed one coat of the glitter, so I didn't have to do two. I'm just fixing any of the spots that I missed with the glitter glue. And that's something that's also nice with the glitter glue, is you do have the ability to kind of touch up as you need to go. But I did the bottom first, and then we moved into the top section, and I just really love this color, and I think it was absolutely the right choice with this vinyl. Now, one of my biggest pieces of advice is I like to pull the tape as soon as I'm done glittering. And the reason why, this has come after years of trying to pull the tape after the paint and the glue are all dry, and it pulls up all of my design. So pull the tape as soon as possible, and you pull it on itself. So you pull it against, like, where it's folded on itself. And I know I'm not explaining this correctly, but I promise it works amazing, and it definitely leaves your glitter in place. So if you want to see that done, I would definitely recommend hopping over to the Corrupted Crafters CamiPaige Facebook group, because I definitely walk through all of these things a lot on the lives. I go live every Tuesday, shameless plug, but yeah, it just really helps. But here I'm just doing the top of the tumbler the same way I did the bottom, and just kind of making sure that I've got the great coverage, and then it's time to pull the tape. I let that dry, then I went in with 2 coats of epoxy just so it was nice and smooth, and now it is time to do the fabulous handle. You'll see here that I have a little bit of epoxy on the handle. I just use an X-Acto knife and it comes right off, or if I'm really just not even worried about it, I just paint and glue over the top of it because nobody's gonna know. But here I'm just coming in with some painter's tape, the same stuff that we used before. I just like to do this because it kind of ensures that I don't get paint and glitter where I don't want to. The times that I haven't done this, I always regret it. So definitely take the time to kind of paint off the sections just like so, and then we can start to move into painting this beautiful handle. For the handle, I'm using this beautiful blue. It's called Winchester blue from Miss Lillian's No Wax Chalk paint. Again, this is the paint that I sell on the site. And I'm just using this janky makeup brush. And I say janky, but I mean it in the most affectionate way possible because these things are amazing. I grab them at the dollar store, but I'm just making sure that I've got a nice even coat on the handle. I'm gonna use my heat gun just to dry this quickly, and then we're gonna move in and glitter this bad boy. So just like the sides of the mug, we are gonna be using the Artistry glitter glue. It just covers really nicely, and especially for handles, I feel like you get really nice, even coverage. So I'm just gonna do a nice dollop of daisy and cover the whole handle with the glitter glue. I don't care how many times I attempt or move the cup around, I always miss a spot. But this is Corpse Reviver. You can also find this amazing blue down in the description below. It's one of my favorite blues I've ever used. But I just kind of come in here and touch up a few spots. Again, I always miss it. I don't know what it is with handles, but I just take my time, make sure that I've got that nice even coverage. Then I let this dry for about 45 minutes, and I spray seal the crap out of this just because it's such a dark glitter over the yellow base. I don't want to get a lot of contamination. So I am just going to make sure that it's nice and coated the way I like. And I'm sorry I'm out of frame for that section, but that way it just really helps to prevent that dark blue from showing up over the yellow when you go into your final steps. Then after this, I am going to go in with a coat of epoxy, and then we are almost done. So there are so many really vibrant colors on this cup that I wanted the decal that we are working on to really stand out. And this is always the problem with handled cups, is that they like to move on me. But this is, I think it's BS5 from Vinyl Fun for Everyone, and it's a bleach spot. So I don't know if you're familiar with bleach spots, but what it is, it's just a lot of really nicely printed white ink that allows you to kind of create a background, so to say, for your decal. So I really liked this one. Stephanie over at Vinyl Fun has a bunch of different options, so definitely go check them out. But I am just going to apply this where I want it on the cup. The handle always kind of throws me a little bit, so sorry that I'm moving around all over the place. But I just really want to get the placement right because it is going to kind of set me up for either failure or success on the rest of the cup. So what I really like to do first is to get the placement where I want it. And just like when we're applying the regular vinyl, I want to do the hinge method. So So you can see I'm holding it up on one section, and I'm just using my fingers to make sure that I'm applying it kind of in a rolling method where I'm just like pushing it down. And what I'm trying to do is prevent any bubbles from showing on this. So here, I'm not proud of this, but you can see my not so perfect epoxy skills right there because there's a couple of divots, but you want to make sure that you are preventing any bubbles because they will show. So this is why I like to kind of roll it on or use the hinge method that a lot of people call it. And that way I know that I'm getting this adhered nice and as perfectly, and I say perfectly in air quotes, as possible. And then I'm going to come back in with my squeegee. Stephanie from Vinyl Fun also has these squeegees, so I highly recommend you snagging those. I will list it down below because I love the size of this. But you can see now how I've got a really nice background to put my decal on. And I wanted to do something a little bit different. I see a lot of times when people use bleach spots, they'll do either the pinstriping before if they want to set off the vinyl, or before they do their decaling, but I actually wanted to kind of make the pinstriping, so to say, the hero of this cup. So I'm actually going over the bleach spot. And yes, I did do this on purpose. It wasn't a whoopsie that I came back and fixed later, but I thought that this would be a really cool way to kind of set off the decal and really incorporate the bleach spot into the design instead of making it kind of the focal point that really stood out on top of the design. For my pinstriping on this cup, I'm using nail tape, and I had been boycotting nail tape for a while because I got a bad batch and it was just breaking all the time and it wasn't cute. But I will list this nail tape that actually worked very well in the description below because I thought the colors were perfect with this vinyl and it really helped to bring the whole design together. So I'm just slowly taking my time moving around the tumbler, and I'm offsetting the vinyl but also making sure that that line continues over the top of the bleach spot. So I'm just making my way around. Then I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife and kind of trim it right there at the handle, because where this vinyl hits, it goes into the handle, if that makes sense. So it doesn't go underneath the handle. So I'm just trimming it right here. So you can see right there how I'm ending it. And I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife to kind of make sure that that's all lined up. I'll continue with the blue at the top, and then we will move in with our second pinstripe because I did want to do a dual and when I say dual, I just mean 2 different colors and 2 different sizes to really kind of make this really pop. Once we were done with the blue, it is time for the red. And I have to say, I was struggling at first to get this place down just because it was so thin and it was cold outside, so there was a ton of static electricity. It just wasn't my friend to get started. However, I think this was absolutely so cute, and I think it really brought the whole kind of look together. So overshoot is kind of what I like to say is my rule for here. And what I mean by overshoot is where you want to start, maybe back up an inch. It's like push down a little piece there, and then that way it kind of sets you up for going forward. So I did this a little bit here. See, it was just kind of moving on me. The handle did make it a little bit more complicated, if I'm completely honest, but I'm just kind of holding it down in place and getting it set down as closely to where I want it as possible. I didn't use my ultimate decal guide like I usually do because I didn't want to take a chance of the marker or whatever to use as a guide showing up on the bleach spot. So I had to just kind of freeform it, I guess you could say. But I did end up grabbing my pair of tweezers, and it really helped to get that placement down. So really with this, as soon as you get it started, like you can see there, it goes pretty easily. It's not going to pull up on you, or at least it shouldn't. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, trying to get it as straight as possible. Also remembering that this is a handmade item, so it's not going to be completely perfect, but I'm just keeping that distance between the red and the blue consistent as I work my way around the tumbler. And once I was done with this, I just kind of trimmed it underneath the handle because I like to hide my seams under the handle when I'm doing these type of cups, but absolutely hide them wherever you feel or see fit. And as soon as I was done with the red and the top, I went ahead and did it the same on the bottom. And then we were ready to move into a super fun step that I really think worked amazingly for this cup. if you don't feel confident moving immediately into this step like I am, you can go into it with a coat of epoxy first. I just would seal the pinstriping so it doesn't lift on you. But I knew that this is what I wanted to do, so I did not do that. But again, if you're not confident, you can easily go into it with a coat of epoxy, then move into this little adorning process. So what I did is I just kind of created a frame with the glitter glue. So I created like kind of an oblong circle, which is obviously called an oval, but I'm just spreading it out over the bleach spot because I did want to add just a little bit of focal interest on this section, especially because the bleach spot covered a lot of that really vibrant vinyl, but also because I did have some bubbles because my epoxy job underneath it was less than ideal. I just had fish eyes for some reason, and I didn't notice it until after I applied the bleach spot. So this is a nice thing that I wanted to do because I wanted the detail, but also it's kind of hiding some of my mistakes. So I first just started with one coat of the glitter glue, like I said, and then this is a beautiful blue glitter. It's got some chunky into it because I did want different sizes, and I am just lightly sprinkling this around the outside of the decal. So if I get some in the middle, it's not that big of a deal, and I think it's just really pretty. It just added a little bit to it. I'll list this blue glitter down in the description because I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I will by the time I post this video. So I'm just, again, moving around the outside and just lightly sprinkling. I would not kind of use a shaker and shake this on because it's just not going to be cute, but just lightly sprinkle. And as long as you have a paper, like my cardstock I have underneath it, it's not going, you're not going to lose the glitter. So that was the first color. Then I wanted some really pretty sparkle. So not the blue's not pretty, but this is one of my favorites. It's salted caramel white Russian. I'll list the link down in the description just because I literally use this all the time. I've had to order probably 3 or 4 of these just because I go through so much of it. But just like with the blue, I'm kind of just going over the top of it and just lightly sprinkling the iridescent glitter around the cup. Now, it's not really coming through in the video, but this added a ton of sparkle, which I think is always a good thing. But again, it's just not coming through on the video, but in person, it was just absolutely beautiful. And I think it was a really nice touch that I wanted to do. I let that dry, I spray sealed it, and then I went in with a coat of epoxy, and then it was time to apply the rest of the decal. See, look at this close-up shot. I ain't lying, it's so pretty. But let's move in to decal time, which is also my least favorite part of cup making. I'm kind of kidding, but kind of not. So this design is from Creative Fabrica, and I cut it using vinyl from Vinyl Fun for Everyone. I will list all of it down in the description below. But the reason why I did red and teal is because on the other side of the mug, there's a lot of these colors in that beautiful printed vinyl that we attached. So I thought the colors were really nice. I thought the red was a wonderful touch with the pinstriping that we had applied earlier. But I just got this in place. I always second guess myself when applying decals, especially when I should be using the tools that I sell, but I always constantly don't. I don't know why, it's a character flaw, but I'm just kind of getting this in place. Then I apply it from applying pressure in the center and working my way out, again trying to prevent bubbles. But I spray sealed this twice, then went in with a couple coats of epoxy until the whole baby was smooth, and this thing was done. I absolutely adore all the colors, how everything came together, and I'm so excited that Colette gets to enjoy this mug every day. I hope this tutorial inspires you, and I can't wait to see what you create. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out and I'll be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you are notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.